Welcome to the Aggie Athletics Coaches Show, brought to you by Charles White State Farm. My name is Sean Joy, and today we are joined with new head women's volleyball coach, Alex Courtney. Coach, how are you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks
Good.
for having me.
Of course, good to have you here. So it's a little chilly here in no man's land. I'm going to ask you, where you're from and everything, and kind of what you got here. But so far you've been here. What's been your first impression of OPSU?
Yeah, first impression was, smaller community feel, great family feel on campus, lots of support. Looks like there's a good relationship between academics and athletics here, which is really, positive and I'm looking forward to. And no, it's been great. I've been welcomed and feel right at home already.
Good. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Yeah.
So I talked about the weather a little bit. It's a little chilly here. Where are you from originally? Before when you're growing up?
Yep, born and raised in Montana. So up north is kind of all I knew. Farthest south I had been before here was Denver, and spent most of my time in Montana and North Dakota. That's where I came from. Before here was North Dakota, and now I'm south, and I love the winters, and I'm here to stay. So
the Panhandle is the South. I
Yep.
like that. I like that. What kind of go through your coaching path to get here? You had mentioned briefly kind of where you've been, but talk about where you started out coaching and what got you here to OPSU.
Yeah. So after I graduated college myself, entered the real world trying to find a job and, do all the adult things. And I just was still so competitive and so just love sports so much. And I'm sure my family was getting annoyed with how competitive I made everything. And so I kind of needed an outlet for that. And thankfully started coaching a freshman girls basketball team at Sentinel High School in Missoula, Montana, and loved it. It was so much fun. It was exactly what I needed. I did that for a few years with the basketball side. Then I started also coaching, started at the sophomore level, moved up to JV of the volleyball side. So I was doing both. I was a multi-sport athlete in college, so it still kind of made sense to do both again when I was coaching. So loved that. Did that for a few years with Sentinel, and then just was like, maybe I can make this a career, maybe I could look into collegiate coaching and see what happens. And so I did, and I was familiar with Minot State. I had gone to Minot State volleyball camps when I was in high school. So when I saw that they were looking for an assistant coach, it kind of felt comfortable. They had just hired a new head coach. I went over, interviewed with her, and it was a fit. And so I started at Minot State about 4 years ago as the assistant. And then in 4 short years, I moved from assistant to interim head coach and then to head coach and kind of fast tracked that. But again, I love the challenge. I love being in in any athletic department doing what I love. So it's been good. And grateful for my time there, and now I'm here and looking forward to it.
Good. We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the jump from being the assistant coach to being the head coach. What was that like, and maybe some lessons that were learned quickly, as you don't have much time to kind of settle in there.
Yeah. It was quite a jump. I guess, I had seen what the head coach was doing with the team and like all of the office work, all of like the more business side of it, from the team management, the budgets, the recruiting, the scholarship,
all the fun stuff.
Yeah. I had seen it, but I hadn't really, I guess, I hadn't experienced the burden of that. And, I'm thankful for the burden, but it is like, it can be a lot sometimes. And, just kind of transitioning into that and having to be really good at multitasking and managing my time and, my schedule throughout the year. It's a very seasonal job, as, coaches in athletic departments know. So yeah, I had to learn fast. So thankfully I'm inherently kind of organized already and pretty good at time management. And I kind of had to be whether I was ready or not. So I did. And, I'm still learning. I'm not perfect. I still, am still young in my career, even though this is my second school now. Like it's been rewarding, but it's still challenging every day, and I'm grateful for it though.
Challenge is good though.
Yep.
It can push you and help you get better. So you've been here for a couple months now at OPSU, a little over a month maybe, and just talk about kind of what's the day-to-day look like for you when you got here, and you obviously had to see the roster and what we had and what we don't have, but just kind of walk us through what's the first month or so been like as the head coach here.
Yeah, I think first was making connections, meeting a lot of people. I had met a lot of people when I came to visit, but kind of learning everybody's names again was the big one. And just, yeah, meeting the team as it was. There were a few players that had already transferred at semester. There were a few seniors that were done at semester. They had a large senior class this past season. So I knew, and, AD Esparza had talked to me like recruiting was going to be a big thing right away. So I knew that coming in. That was kind of been my focus the past few weeks is integrating myself into the athletic department, making connections. We started open gyms with the remaining players that were here. The seniors still want to be involved, which is awesome. So we've been doing a little bit of volleyball stuff, but mainly I've just been kind of focusing in, locked in on the office side of it, recruiting, figuring out my budget, just kind of all the little things that are a little different between each school, But yeah, recruiting's been a big one. Learning the lay of the land. Very familiar with Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, Canada as a recruiting area. And now I'm kind of, making my way into the Oklahoma, the Texas, the New Mexico, Kansas, Colorado scene, which thankfully I had some leading pathways before I got here. And now it's nice to be down here and closer to the action that I was looking at from afar before. So, yeah, that's kind of been my last couple of weeks. I can't believe I've already been here almost a month. Like the time has flown, but it's been good.
So let's talk about recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be probably your number one item on the agenda, and you've already been doing a great job. What kind of players, what kind of athletes, what kind of kids do you want to bring into Aggie volleyball, and kind of what's your outlook on recruiting when it comes to that these days?
Yeah, I think I like I said, I was a multi-sport athlete and very dedicated to my academics. It didn't always come easy to me, so I had to work really hard at both. Um, and I think I look for that in a player, somebody that really embraces both sides of the student athlete coin. Volleyball is a great piece of collegiate athletics. It can help potentially pay for some school tuition or dorm or whatever, but ultimately you're here to get a degree. And I really want players that embrace that and can manage that, because it is a lot of stress, it's a lot of responsibility, but kind of finding the players that have that passion for both is big for me. Being competitive is big for me. Like I said before, I'm a very competitive person, but now that I'm a coach, keeping that in check and kind of remembering that volleyball is my job, my full-time job, but these student athletes have so much more that they have to kind of manage. That again, volleyball is a great piece of it, but it's not their whole world. So being competitive in the time slots that they have for volleyball, and then going out and again embracing the student aspect of life, having time for other. I encourage the full student athlete experience, so getting engaged in other organizations or clubs or whatever it might be on campus. Student life activities is big for me. I don't want them to just
sit in the dorm or the apartment.
Yep, or be in the gym. Like go out, make friends,
Yeah.
Outside of athletics. I remember some of my best friends in college weren't athletes.
Yep.
I met them in class, I met them in the cafeteria,
Yep.
whatever. So kind of just a well-rounded student athlete, somebody that's ready for that challenge. Coming as a freshman is tough no matter where you go, just to kind of learn what it's like to be away from home and manage yourself now when you're not with your parents or guardians, and kind of being your own independent person. But I think that autonomy is a great learning lesson. And again, if I can be helpful as a coach to kind of be an extra set of eyes on them and make sure they're doing well, I will.
Good deal. Every coach has their own style, how they want to play. Obviously you have to base your style off the roster you have. But in a dream world or Coach Courtney's world, what way would you like your team and your girls to play if if you're able to talk about your style of play?
Yeah, I've been blessed to have teams that had a lot of returners year to year, and I've also coached teams that have had a lot of new players, kind of mixed in with a few returners. So I've seen kind of both sides of that. And biggest thing for me, regardless if you know everybody next to you on day one or if it's a fresh start, is just attitude and effort. Come in, we're not always 100% every single day. I don't expect that kind of perfection, but come in with a respectful and a go-getter attitude, and just work hard. Let's get after it. Let's compete at practice. Let's make each other better. Let's make ourselves better. And then, we let the chips fall on game day and hope that our preparation was enough for a win. And if it wasn't, we get right back after it again. So that's really, I try to keep it simple. I really don't, I try to just have, those keywords that I can reiterate and follow through with myself so that my team knows what to expect from me, and it's not 100 things they have to remember. It's my attitude, my effort. That's what we're looking for. Let's go compete and see what happens.
That's good. Good deal. As you're building your roster, as you're going through, is there a preference on freshmen, transfer, junior college? Kind of just go through, what you're, what you're looking at to kind of how you want to build your roster.
It's a good question. I didn't realize that there are a lot of different ways coaches look at that. And I got to know actually all of the coaches that, in the previous conference, and had conversations with them about kind of, what they look for in recruiting. And, there are some coaches that prefer to just start with freshmen. They build them up in their 4-year program, and, then that's all they know. I think I'm a little bit of both. I love getting freshmen to come in because, you can start them out. You kind of have that retention for 4 years. They know by the time they're juniors and seniors, exactly how I function as a coach, what's expected, like what the overall values and goals of the team are. But there's a lot of valuable experience that comes with coming from a JUCO or being a transfer, especially coming from the JUCO world. I think the more reps you get in game, live ball game, settings, that pays off so well at, the 4-year level. So I'm looking for a little bit of both this coming year. I'm talking to transfers, have a couple visits set up. I'm talking to freshmen. I already have a couple verbals there, so won't say any names till we make that official, but I'm excited. I think a handful of both will be a great mix for this coming year. As of right now, it doesn't look like we will have any seniors, so it's going to be a little bit younger group, but I think a lot of, potential to look forward to in that we would have, potentially the same team for 2 years, and we can really build on what we start this first year into the second year. So
I know you're just getting your feet wet in NAI level, and you were at the Division II level for a handful of years prior. Right now, what are the big differences that you've noticed so far between NAI and NCAA Division II?
So when it comes to my sport, I think the biggest thing is I think there are more forms you have to fill out in NCAA. Yeah. So I keep asking, like, do I need to fill out a form for this? And they're like, no, just do it. I'm like, oh, okay. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, it was a surprising difference. Other thing I'm looking forward to, which is very selective to my sport, is no substitution limits. Definitely looking forward to that. But, I think in general, athletic departments, function similarly, like, student athlete experience, success and retention rates, graduation rates, managing the budget. We all feel that burden, no matter if you're JUCO to D1. So not any huge differences that I've like, whoa, I can't do this.
Just less paperwork.
Yeah, just a little less paperwork, and looking forward to some of the differences just within my sport, like the rule differences. Yeah. So no, it's been good. Yeah.
So Aggie volleyball had a great year last year. Did some things that the program's never done before, but also graduated an older team. And so what are some realistic expectations, or what are your goals, for your first year here next year with the girls in the program?
Yeah, that's good. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually. And I think for this first season coming in, again, it's going to be a lot of new faces. We're going to have to spend a lot of time in preseason getting everybody comfortable, bonding on the court, off the court. Obviously my first time in this conference, so kind of getting the lay of the land there. I think we're going to focus on, inherently everybody wants to win, but let's just put the focus on how are we getting better every day within ourselves, and are we, presenting our best selves and giving our best effort on game day. And again, let's see what happens. Let's see if our preparation paid off, and, we learn from that, whether we win or lose. Learn from it. Let's go into the next week and let's do it all again. So again, competitiveness. I think that's the big thing. Again, whether we win or lose, I want to be competitive. I want to play hard and just leave it on the court and let the chips fall.
Well, Coach, we're excited to have you. We're excited for the program. We can't wait to come out and watch you guys in the fall, and we're excited to see what you can do here, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, that does it for our latest episode of the Aggie Athletics Coaches Show, brought to you by Charles White State Farm. We will see you next time.